Hello, my name is Daniel Lopez. As we all know, or you should know, there is currently a presidential race going on. The candidates include Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump. Whoever wins this race will become the next president of the United States and will considerably be the most powerful man or woman in the country. As a college student and registered voter, I took the time to research each candidate. And one candidate stood out to me the most, but not in a good way, and that person is Donald J. Trump. In fact, I believe that Donald Trump would not make a good president. In my speech, I'll be first going over Trump's attitude and how it may affect his presidency if he becomes president. Then I'll be talking about his illegal immigration policies, and lastly, I'll be going over his idea of building the wall and why I disagree with it. So let's start with his attitude. Trump's demeanor is not president-like. Let's go over some quotes that he said about others. The New York Times updated an article on May 27th, 2016 called "The 224 People, Places, and Things Donald Trump Has Insulted" on Twitter by Jasmine Lee and Kevin Quayle. Donald Trump has called Jeb Bush a loser, really pathetic, a failed candidate. He's called Marco Rubio a lightweight several times, and he's even said that Rubio looks like a little boy on stage. Also, in another article published in Bustle.com in August 24th, 2015, called 5 Donald Trump Quotes That Should Infuriate Every Man and Woman in the United States by Chris Tognati, a writer and politics contributor, quoted Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was talking about Rosie O'Donnell. He said that I'd fire Rosie O'Donnell. I'd look at her right in the fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. And there's much more where that came from. These statements made by Donald Trump are very childlike and immature. Why would we want somebody like this to run our country? Just imagine him in a meeting with other political leaders. He's known for interrupting people, and it's not going to be surprising if he does this in these meetings. He's going to anger many other countries, and he's going to possibly have the U.S. lose our good allies. How can we trust this man to have control over our nuclear weapons? This is not a risk that we should take. Trump's attitude is not one that resembles a leader. Donald Trump not only dislikes his opposing candidates, but he also dislikes illegal immigrants. In fact, in Newsweek.com, in an article called "Donald Trump's Mass Deportation Plan Means Making the United States a Police State," published in November 23rd, 2015 by Sheldon Richman. Richman mentions that Donald Trump plans to deport more than 11 million illegal immigrants using a deportation force, merely because these immigrants do not have are not allowed here by the government. So Donald Trump wants to deport several illegal immigrants even though they're not causing any crimes and they're not even criminals. Many conservatives might say that illegals are costing U.S. citizens many tax dollars. Now let's go over the statistics. The Illegal Immigrant Fact Sheet 2015 in newfreethinkers.org by Chester Davis, that was published in November 9th, 2015, states that local, state, and federal government are spending $113 billion a year on illegal immigrants. Yeah, this may seem like a lot, but the webpage goes on by saying that illegal immigrants, or the tax money, goes to the health and the education for illegal immigrants. Why shouldn't these people be allowed to have health and education? Every human should have the right to have so. And also, a common statement made by conservatives is that illegals are living off of taxpayers, and this is not true. Illegals are working very hard, and the taxes going to them are not paying for their home and not paying for their food. They are working, and they are paying for their own food, and they're paying for their own. They're raising their own families. Not to mention that the U.S. was founded on illegal immigration. America was once inhabited by many by many Native American tribes until it was these tribes were invaded by European colonists. In A People's History of the United States, published in August 2nd, 2005, by Howard Zinn, a historian, playwright, and social activist, recalls one instance in current Jamestown, Virginia, where the colonists fell upon an Indian settlement, killed 15 or 16 Indians, burned their houses, cut down the corn growing from their villages, took the queen of the tribe and her children into boats, then ended up throwing the children overboard. The queen was later taken off and stabbed to death. Anyone who commits those kind of crimes has to be considered illegal. Many Native Americans did not want the Europeans in their land, which makes the Europeans illegal. If Trump wants to deport illegal immigrants, then he should check the ancestral background of every U.S. citizen and deport those to make up for their ancestors who were never deported, to make things fair. Speaking of illegal immigrants, let's talk about the wall that Donald Trump wants to build. So Donald Trump wants to build a wall between Mexico and the U.S. He also wants Mexico to pay for it. And the reason being is that, I quote, in his presidential announcement speech, Trump said, when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Not to mention, this statement is also slightly racist because he's generalizing the Mexican immigrants by saying that most of them are criminals when he has no proof to show or prove that they are criminals. He's assuming and making things up. Also, in fact, Janice Kephart, CIS researcher, stated on PBS NewsHour that there's no evidence that immigrants are either more or less likely to commit crimes than anyone else in the population, which proves that Donald Trump's statement was racist. So let's go back to building the wall. Donald Trump said he wants Mexico to pay for it, but this is not a good idea because he will potentially have the U.S. lose Mexico as a good ally and a trade partner. If Donald Trump wants to build a wall so badly, why doesn't he do it himself? After all, he does brag about his money all the time. And how can we trust Donald Trump making these kind of projects? He did file for bankruptcy 4 times, with his first being the Trump Taj Mahal in 1991, then the Trump Plaza Hotel in 1992, and then Trump Hotels and Casinos Resorts in 2004, and also Trump Entertainment Resorts in 2009. So if he's failed 4 different businesses, why aren't people afraid of him failing the U.S.? So in conclusion, this is why I believe Trump would not make a good president. I went over his attitude and how he's not president material. I went over his illegal immigration policies, and I just went over his idea of building a wall and how I believe it is flawed. So with that being said, I hope that you come to an understanding and realize what Trump has to offer. Thank you.